crap, that thing is loading fast. Eh, good. We're up, though. All right. Heavy Rain, LE, Game Heart Light. We have the Stronger Colors mod on, so this is going to be kind of fun. We have the first game here between Setheal and ViperMusashi. Two players that both pretty good, actually. They actually got placed down to silver, but I know for a fact last season they were both gold and pretty solidly in gold, too. This is going to be good stuff. Definitely repeating that information for any of you who I know didn't watch the interview. Anyway. In the top left here, on Heavy Rain, we have, sporting the red, it is ViperMusashi. And you can actually see there's even like, I don't know if you guys can see it, but the guys on the VOD definitely can, which is the little like rain just running down. In the bottom right, we have, sporting the blue as well as the Protoss pieces, it is Setheal. So like I was saying before, this map is extremely good for blink play. You can see these edges here. You can blink into this spot. You can blink into this spot. You can kind of go around the side here and blink into here. So anytime you're dealing with blink play on this map, it can be very, very difficult to cover all the possible entrances that the Protoss may go for. But that's probably a little bit more relevant in a PvT game. PvZ, it's not quite as important to worry about, though it can become a factor. Kind of depends on also Sethiel's playing style. I actually haven't really seen him do that kind of thing too much. Usually much more of a macro-y player. ViperMusashi, on the other hand, I've only seen him play the one time, so I don't have as great a handle on exactly what his playstyle is. Looks like so far, though, not doing anything particularly crazy, going all the way up to 15 before grabbing, I think, is probably going to be a spawn. Nope, he's actually going to be going for hatch first. All right, so trying to get an economic edge on his opponent. Likewise, actually no attempted block on this either, so he may get, he's going to get one of the earliest possible hatcheries you can possibly get without any real resistance. That's kind of rough. Back over in Sethiel's base, you can see pylon started, working on a wall up here. Nothing particularly crazy going on just yet. Looks like he's actually going to grab an early nexus of his own. So pretty much just saying, hey, okay, fine, you're going to go for an early economy. I'm going to do the exact same thing. As for who chose map 1, again, that was Setheal. Getting an answer question from the chat there. Setheal did pick Heavy Rain, that is our Protoss player, so he may have something specifically in mind for this map. ViperMusashi is going to get a drone in here. He's going to see the space building and scout the fact that there's really nothing else crazy going on in the main. He sees chrono-boosted probes, no gases. Tells him that he's not getting hit with anything completely bananas yet. I mean, there are some builds that would start grabbing these gases a little bit earlier, and you have to worry about a slightly different set of things here. Trying to get that drone out, make sure one doesn't want to lose that right now. Isn't going for anything crazy like a hatchery in the main or anything like that either. And it looks like we're going to be proceeding into the kind of the standard 2-base play. Whether that's going to eventually turn into an all-in of some kind or not from the Protoss or the Zerg, we'll have to stand by and watch. And yeah, you're going to be playing Kaiser. By the way, Any Citizen, have you gotten... Ooh, fast third. Very nice. This is actually a very, very strong style of Zerg play. One that many Protosses really struggle against unless they're going for some kind of 2-base all-in. So wouldn't be surprised if Setheal has something in mind for that here. Also notice that he's trying to hide this probe out there. He hasn't placed any pylons just yet, but that could become a key factor in this. I could tell you that these 2-base all-ins get a lot weaker if you can't actually hide that pylon out to get quicker reinforcements. So that could, if nothing else, it keeps his options open, the fact that he has that probe out there. Again, doesn't necessarily mean he's going for it, but with that possibility, he has that threat there, that ability to change into it. Nothing particularly crazy going on up here either, just usual droning. So the natural itself is actually a bit narrow, not particularly super narrow or super wide or anything like that, but it's enough so that both players can actually wall this off fairly easily. A couple evolution chambers against Heavy Zealot Archon play, for an example, or more likely against another Zerg player. Whereas Protoss, you can see here, not having to use too many buildings. A little bit of a weakness in the wall, and that this pylon is here. Anytime that you see just a pylon in the wall like this, you are technically vulnerable to a Baneling all-in. So it looks as if for now that Setheal is either, unless that's flush against the wall, which I don't think it is. Hard to say. But if anything else, having seen the opening that his opponent is going for, it looks like he suspects that that's not something he has to worry about. He's not placing any additional buildings behind it. A lot of Zerglings coming out here, though. A couple gases. I wonder if this is just for defense against a possible attack, or if he has something specifically in mind with this. Many a player has fallen to an early Zergling attack that wasn't properly held off here. In theory, what's supposed to happen is this sentry is supposed to get that force field down, supposed to prevent the Lings from getting in, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Whoa, whoa. Oh, that's really sucks for the Zerg player. He actually placing this pylon down just outside the vision of all those units moving past. And it looks like now he's moving into position kind of at the back of the, what would be the 4th or a 5th here. Zerglings are now positioned on the low ground. Okay, good. I didn't miss a Baneling nest that's coming up. I'm like, what are we going for here? He has a drone in with this with this group as well. Might have something particularly sneaky planned here. Again, lots more Lings, saving up, not saving up much in the way of gas, only just getting it now a little bit from these geysers. Hasn't grabbed his geysers at his 3rd or at his natural yet, so there isn't really too much we can see in the way of tech. But all these Lings, definitely indicative that he wants to get something done here. +1 attack is going to be done soon. Makes a pretty big difference. Zealots versus Zerglings changes their ability to kill Lings from 3 hits down to 2. Makes them die a lot faster. No corresponding upgrades, though the evolution chambers have gone down. Well, there we go. Protoss is definitely thinking of some kind of 2-base. Okay, we got a 2-base all in here. 8-gate. And I think, not 8-gate, 7-gate. This is definitely more, definitely planning to get a lot of aggression behind this, and might just be going for a blink all-in, actually. For everything that I mentioned earlier. Nope. Okay. More Zergling more Zealot based. There is blink, though. He might be wishing soon that he had this back at home if these guys actually go for an attack, but he might just have these positioned to attack the 3rd if the Protoss goes for it, but as you can see here, it doesn't really look like he's intending to do that. In fact, we have yet more forces warping in at the north side here, and it looks like he's moving in for an attack on the 3rd base. Lings, for the most part, kind of out of position here. A lot more Lings coming out, though, and in fact, the fact that he'll probably be able to surround this army pretty hard here. There's really enough Zealots to actually deal with this. It's going to come down to how well he does the force fields and positions his army against this. Moving in to attack the base, we have a lot of Lings already, it's actually just running some of them into the natural down here. And unfortunately, their wall was not completely sealed. The Lings run, oh, this is a disaster, straight into the natural. They're going to do a lot of damage down here. He needs to kill this base with this attack. He needs to do a lot of damage with this attack to actually get himself in this now. He is really going to be losing a lot of his economy down here. Good warp in his Zealots. It's going to help out a lot with this. But yeah, as you can see here, the damage is getting considerably worse over time, with the Zerg having taken out already 20 workers. And there isn't really a lot of force fields with this army, so while he will get this hatchery, the longer he stays in this open space, the more vulnerable this is likely to be. Has stabilized down here, and a lot of Lings coming out. It's going to lose all of these, all of the Zealots go down. And now we have a yet bigger flood of Lings coming down. He's trying to take out the sentries immediately. He's got them really nicely surrounded here. Unfortunately, no force fields go down, and this army is just dead. There's no way. It's going to need a large swell of reinforcements to even save those Stalkers at this point. And while that is coming into play now, a lot of Stalkers to help us out. Yeah. Losing the force fields in there is really hampering this. But you know, good micro there, keeping as many of his Stalkers alive as he possibly can. And Sethiel's definitely not out of this yet. He did take a pretty big hit there that he really wouldn't have wanted to have happen at all. Should be a lot more ahead than he is at the moment. But that said, he did take down this hatchery, and he did take out a lot of the Zerg's army. Unfortunately, his reinforcement pylon has now been discovered. So these Stalkers, while there are a lot of them, aren't going to be having any friends coming up with them in the short term here. It's gathered out at the front. There's a decent ball of roaches here. Not enough to deal with these Stalkers, though. You need a lot more, just sheer numbers of roaches to actually deal with Stalkers, especially when they have blink. So yeah, this force is going to get shredded here. Probably going to lose at least these upgrades. We have a bunch of Lings actually coming in from the back as well. This is pretty... You know, okay, yeah, there's probably not going to be enough from the Zerg here. He may be able to stabilize, but it's looking like he just doesn't have enough army out at any given time. If there was enough Zerglings there, he could have hit the back of the Stalker line, so there really would have been nowhere for them to blink, but that's not going to be happening here, and pretty much all Setheal needs to do now is sit on top of the production and make sure that any army forces that come out just die. As long as he can accomplish that, he'll be able to take this game. It looks like it's steadily going more and more in his favor here. I wasn't able to take out the upgrades, though. +1 missile attacks is actually just about to finish. It does affect some of the army that's at the front here, but again, this is a really, really thin defense. Speed is now finished. Ling's definitely moving in a little faster, getting a little bit extra damage onto the Stalkers, but for the most part, not much to accompany them. Now, note again, the loss of that pylon means that there's really nothing to help this out coming from back home. If the pylon was still up, he might have been able to just push with reinforcements and end the game here. But it looks like Viper might just barely be able to stabilize, but he's going to lose that hatchery. That's really bad. Good news is he does have another one that's actually just finished, so he can continue mining from down here. But he will at least lose this gas income from here for a little while. Not to mention, Setheal is actually establishing a third base. Still pretty undefended, and really, Viper is going to want to deny this if he can. If this third base gets up, it's pretty much lights out from there. He's just going to get really, 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 really far behind. But still, economically, the Zerg is a little bit farther behind than he would like here. He would like to be getting up to a 4th and a 5th base. Natural still building. Going to be getting another hatchery here. And the Protoss is really in a comfortable spot. Just able to take a lot of money behind this. Now, here's an awkward thing about this. Entrance here, entrance here, entrance here, entrance here. So basically, yes, this does cut off one attack path, but yeah, it doesn't really do much. And here comes the Lings actually coming to attack that. There's way too many force fields, though, and Viper sees that. He has to back off. Wouldn't be able to take that out. But as you can see, he has to position his army here, get this wall up as best he can, and hopefully this time it'll be a nice airtight sealed wall off. Broke gateways at the front. Pylon. Let's see what our player's actually doing to back this up now. Protoss has grabbed a Robo Bay, getting +3 attack. Still sticking to basically just gateway units. It looks like he isn't really augmenting it with much more yet. In the midst of all that, ViperMusashi has actually now grabbed a Hydralisk Den. And looks like he's just going to be going for standard Roach Hydra to try to push down his opponent here. Now, this is a great compositional choice. Roach Hydra does very, very well against just gateway units without Colossus support or Templar support. So he's trying to take care of that opening right now where, okay, decent attack with the Lings coming down here, going to be able to do a lot of damage. This is actually might kill off a few of the sentries here as these force fields actually just good enough to protect them there. So losing a lot of Lings, not really getting a whole lot done. There's still this hole in this wall, by the way, that actually hasn't been filled up yet, so he can technically run around with that. Some Roaches running up to the top here, trying to get some work done. Ooh, almost getting force fielded out, but force fields are just not good enough to trap any of the Roaches. Actually losing a lot of energy up here. Still quite a few force fields in this army, though, so he's not really doesn't have to worry about that too much. Unfortunately, a lot of his just, whoa, his sentries are just getting really brave right there. Interesting, keeping a lot of his units burrowed at the front, maximizing their healing, not letting his opponent realize that his army is actually still there. He's just building up units right next to him. A lot of Stalkers warping in with this. The Blink keeps the Stalkers useful into this mid-game portion. Usually they're not anywhere near as good at this portion of the game, but the Blink just allows them to add a bit. It's still true, however, that as time goes on, things are definitely not going to be good at just having that many Stalkers. Really doesn't want that, but maybe just what he needs in the short term. So Lings and Roaches trying to reposition up here. This Phoenix may be able to just barely spot that. I don't think it did before it actually went out. And yeah, Colossus army positioning here at this point, expecting an attack here or here. And looks like he's actually going to move up for the attack. Unfortunately, the entirety of the Zerg army is actually not paying any real attention. And he's now going to actually just kill the rocks and use them to escape. Nice move. Nice. Unfortunately, this army is actually giving good chase here. And I don't know if I like that. Getting a little bit that far out of position with this army does mean that this flank here is vulnerable. Yes, it is walled off, but lanes can chew through that pretty quickly, especially with the upgrades they're starting to have. Hydralisks coming out in the back of this army. Looks like the economy of ViperMusashi has more or less recovered. Still a little bit behind on workers, but nothing that he has to worry about too much there. Also, the upgrades are going to heavily favor the Zerg shortly, as he will have 3-3, not just versus the only 3 weapons of his Protoss opponent. Putting down some pylons here to kind of help navigate the flow of enemy units into the base. ViperMusashi actually positioning with his Zerglings on the side here is going to try and do some damage to these gateways. And what? Apparently there's a hole there, and that's not... No way. Happening again. What looked like a clean wall off is once again not the case at all. Unfortunately, it isn't really accomplishing anything, but, you know, there's definitely an opening there, a possibility for ViperMusashi. The only thing he got out of that was just 1 gateway, though, which is brutal, all things considered. On the plus side, he does have Super Spy Roach here, who's just going to hang out and give him all the information about this army. Notice his opponent does have +1 armor now, and is catching up in that upgrade territory. You know, I keep forgetting that Zerg actually does have to go up to Hive in order to get 3-3, so that's not going to be coming anytime soon. Pathogen glands. Alright. Infestors backing up an army like this can do a lot. It kind of requires that the Protoss be bunched up in a very specific way, and that you really want to hit kind of like your primary target with those infestors is going to be the sentries. If you can hit that with a couple of fungal growths, take all the force fields out of the army, it becomes a lot less scary. Especially, again, you'll notice that this army still has not been augmented with Templar in any way. So he really is relying on these Colossus for all of his area of effect damage. Moving up the side of the map right now, Setheal is actually positioning to attack that 5th base. Unfortunately, at the same time, ViperMusashi looks like he's moving down to attack the 3rd. No, he's just positioning it for a defensive spot. Maybe going to kill these rocks right here. Moving down to his 3rd. But the creep should just have picked up on this, I think. Maybe? Nope. Okay, yeah. Low ground vision. There's no way he sees that army there. Unfortunately, a little bit of a hole right here. 3 spine crawlers coming up, and unfortunately they're not going to finish before the attack actually starts. Stalker, sentries, and Colossus moving in. They're able to do a lot of damage to this. There's not taking any damage in return. Takes out some of the static defenses already. Roaches have now reached this position, however, along with the Hydras, and they're right up in the Protoss' face. There's no sentries that have gone down. Mothership core has fallen, so this army is pretty much trapped out here. Good force fields trapping a number of the Roaches at the back, though, and there's really actually nothing to back up the Hydras. The Hydras are continually just running into the force fields, and the Colossus are having a field day with that without anything to actually save the forces here against those Colossus. Their area of effect damage is more than enough, and that army is completely dead here. We have a Spire just finished, as well as Hive's just about to finish. We have some units spawning from this base, but they're just getting killed off immediately. Looks like they're actually rallied into the front, which means, again, you need a bunch more unnecessary losses right there. And it looks as if ViperMusashi has really been cornered. And I think this time, unlike earlier, there's no way out of this one. There's just way too much firepower in this army. 3 Immortals, not to mention 3 Colossus on top of that. A lot of... Okay, no, not a lot of force fields. Only like 1 or 2, actually, in the army anymore. He does have a reinforcement pylon this time. Kind of getting surrounded here, trying to focus on the Colossus, but there isn't enough damage to accomplish that. And, yeah, if nothing else, at least the Natural's going to fall. Oh, is actually going to lose this reinforcement pylon again, but this time the Protoss is going to actually be able to walk up there and destroy all the tech at the same time. So this is going to be a lot harder to worm his way out of. Whoa, Greater Spire being morphed here down at the 3rd base. Looks like ViperMusashi is going to go for some last-ditch Broodlords and hope that he can take out the army with that. There's a lot of Blink Stalkers in this army, though, so unless he can get up to a pretty sizable amount of Broodlords, we're talking about 6 or 7, he's going to most likely have them all sniped. So it's going to come down a bit to his control here. Trying to hide a few drones up in the corner. There is any observer with this army? Actually, it looks like no. So no detection there. Those drones will live for now. Back home, lots of Stalkers being warped into an attack. Looks like the top right area here. Again, Super Spy Roach contributing to the cause, letting his opponent, the homeland know that there's an attack coming at the base to the north. There isn't really much that they can do about that, though. Nope, no Corruptors yet on the field. Mutalisks starting to come out, and there's just not enough. The drones are actually trying to attack forward into the army. The Colossus are doing a number on those drones. They've just been vaporized, and now the hatchery is going to be falling along with it. With that, there is no more hatcheries in play for our Zerg player, and I'd say he's pretty much dead. I'm not really sure what he can do from here. He does have the Greater Spire. There you go. There's the GG. All right.